significant amount of road work. Some of it, if not most of it, be brand new roads, but inevitably some of it, if not a large part of it, will be reconstruction of existing roads.
We'll address that. I mean, like we're talking about Andrew Chapel.
Andrew Chapel,
All right, that's an existing road that needs maintenance.
that's correct.
But we're gonna hopefully put a lot of this bond money in there. How does that help your budget? Because you weren't budgeting for $4 million.
Mike's budget will not be impacted significantly at all on
Right.
Andrew Chapel, because that will be
But
a
that's
road project.
not
that is,
part of those 80 miles he was talking about either.
No.
That's correct.
So, Wanda, do you have his total road budget? You know what it is this year?
12 million.
12 and a half.
Total
12 and
is
a half, something like
12 and a
that.
half.
all right. So this year his total road budget is $12.5 million.
Yes.
So next year his road budget, forget the bonds, okay? It's going to be $10 million. He's going to have $10 million to operate off of from now on. Okay. We throw in the bond in there. We're going to take another $1.5 million out for the next 2 years. So he's going to have $8.5 million to spend over the next 2 years.
That's not the way they explained it. I mean, I see what you're saying, but that's not the way they
Well, the
explained it.
reason why, because they thought we weren't going to do all these projects, and some of this was going to be overlap. We were going to be able to do some additional road work, maintenance work in this, because we weren't going to spend all this money on projects.
And with
Yep.
that same point, does that affect the cities, the monies we give them?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
The
my
current
point is,
plan
not only are we robbing ourselves, you're going to deplete. Name the cities. What cities do we give money
Well,
for?
not quite $500,000.
There's 5 of them. So,
Yeah, but you're gonna take. We're not giving any more money to Richland. No more money to Florence. No more money to Pearl.
Right. I know
no more money to
every one of
Brandon.
them. I know every
No more
one
money
of
to Flowwood.
I know every one of them.
And we think that's a good idea. And I guess that's my question. I don't want to deplete the city's money, because Brandon just came to us and said, "Hey, boys, we need $150,000 because we don't have any money to do the roads."
Well, yeah, kind of.
They didn't. Is that not what they said?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah.
so
And we'd already given them 100. How much did we give Brandon a year? Do you remember? I can look it up in my notes, but
I don't
I'll
know
look it up.
if I had them, but I got it.
I don't have it on me today, Daniel. 'Cause
I'll tell you. Hang on a second.
800,000, Brandon gets 800,000?
Probably so.
a year?
I got to look it back up.
No,
I got
I
it.
think the part we'd be impacted would be about
What it's gonna take
70,000 a
away
year.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's a fractional part of that, but it is an
But I
impact.
was
It's
always
just 1
under-
meal.
I was under the impression that we took the mill, taking the mill out of Road and Bridge for 2 years to move to debt service, and then we putting the mill back after 2 years.
Correct.
But we were doing something to replenish that money?
The-
And we put the
The
money?
bond proceeds themselves, a portion of the bond proceeds would be diverted for reconstruction under our authority to the road budget. It
Okay.
won't make up all of it, but it'll make up some of it.
So the 3 million that we're going to take out for the next 2 years, you would get what, $1.5 million, maybe?
Ostensibly about half of it.
About $1.5 million, so your net really will only be $1.5 million. Got that, Jay?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're gonna take $1.5 million, essentially take $1.5 million out of bond proceeds, put it back to road and bridge, so really they'll only be out $1.5 million.
All right, so
over 2
where are you putting it back at?
I don't know, going back to road and bridge, I'm just going back to the general
Oh,
fund.
you talking about after 2 years?
No, I'm talking
Talking about
about,
immediately.
repeat
so
what
where
you
you
Say
just
it
said.
again.
All right, so you tell me.
Wait,
out of
repeat,
this-
don't let him finish.
Tell me, out of
Just a
this-
minute.
out of
Just a
this
minute. Let him
$2.5
finish.
million,
If you,
Let him
if you hadn't
finish.
paid attention a while ago when we were going over, we're gonna have to repeat it. So, Craig, tell him
I
again.
think to Jay's point, the theory was that you had a sheet that had projects on it that had a price tag of around 16, if I recall correctly.
14.
That's right.
Correct?
16.
In that neighborhood.
14.
In the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm close enough. You would issue more than the price tag on your sheet. This goes back several conversations, guys.
14 on the sheet.
Okay? So, but I don't think that, correct me if I'm wrong, there were some additional costs that aren't reflected on the sheet that we were trying to anticipate as well. Am I right, Tim? I think, yeah, well, the issuance costs and some other things.
Well,
That-
that's a fact. Yeah.
There's, part of that was anticipating some additional costs related to the bond itself.
About a
okay?
$500,000.
Yeah, probably in that
That was
neighborhood.
14.5,
All right.
Yeah.
So the idea was that you were going to issue more than your price tag reflected on your sheet. Again, we're going back several conversations. We were anticipating that the amount over and above what's on your sheet would be available for use as a part of your road department's operations as long as it fits within the authority that's laid out in the bond statute, which reconstructing, remodeling, that type of thing. And item B, reconstructing, you see that, repairing, reconstructing and repairing, that would fall under the road department's responsibility. We utilize at least some portion. We're going to get some pushback, I'm afraid, if we get beyond, if we get too far, too deep into the bond proceeds to fund your road department operations, we could potentially run into some issues with that. We got to be careful with that. It's got to be.
But you could declare what
Up
road
front.
issues, or not road issues,
Yeah, I
road
think-
problems, road
Yes.
Could you,
projects you're
You
trying
could
to do.
clarify that.
could you take, say, let's say Andrew Chapel, could you say, okay, we've spent $500,000 on right-of-way acquisition out of Road and Bridge, and take $500,000 out of bond and fund,
Absolutely.
and move it back to Road and Bridge to reimburse them
Yes.
for that acquisition?
Absolutely. We'll clarify that with bond
Yeah.
counsel, make sure that that's clearly documented. But yes, the idea was, and by the way, we were looking at Hollybush and some other projects in terms of reimbursement
Yeah.
to the county for money that the county has already spent out of the bond proceeds, because both of those projects would qualify under the bond statute.
That's why we left Holly Bush in there. We felt like we could reach and grab that much back. If we get this going in 6 months, in the
You
right.
gotta get within the time
Which is why
frames.
we don't need to kick it down the road any longer.
Yeah, it's time to
this
go
has
ahead
been
and
a
move forward.
Shell
Okay?
game of shell games.
But I want you guys
6 months,
to,
what did you just say about 6 months?
we don't want to go beyond a 6-month look back to projects as if we're going to reimburse. Don't go back 2 years and say, well, we spent this 2 years ago on this.
You understand?
Get it within a
There's a
time
window
frame of
right
the
there, Mr.
issuance.
Bob, and I'm not sure. I just
And
saw
another
that.
question, Jim, another question I have is for these projects, there seems like there's always a timeline tied in with a bond. So 3 years. So when the bonds are issued, then we have a 3-year window to make sure that whatever that's done, is done.
It's
right?
done.
Or we lose the money or got to give it back to the bondholder?
You are subject to a disgorgement responsibility, potential for arbitrage arguments, and that gets way far afield of what we're here to talk about today. But for you guys' purposes, whatever we declare we're going to use bond proceeds for, we need to spend that money within 3 years.
So that project needs to get started, funded, constructed. What are like Andrew Chapel? I don't know if it would be finished in 3 years or not, but if you're substantially through and you're working towards it, then you
Yes.
still give it the kind of the pat on the back, good job, keep going at it?
Yes.
Well, it's not, the clock's not gonna start ticking until we do our bond.
Until it's issued.
Right.
Right.
And
So
that's going to be
we're looking.
at least 60 days from the day that you declare your resolution of intent.
Yep.
At least 60 days.
That deadline's Monday, right?
Well, it's on the agenda for
It's our-
Monday.
it's
There's
our
no
deadline.
deadline
It's- I think
for
it's
you
our
guys.
Only thing that
Our
was,
deadline.
only thing, if we, whatever we vote on Monday, there's no change in it.
The total.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the reason Steve's thinking, his point was, if you went 18, I see what Craig was saying, if you went,
And I'm not disagreeing with what you want to do, Jay. I just thought, it's like, I've talked to you that we've all kind of initially agreed that we need to do something with North Street, as a result of the stuff. And I've kind of got the word to the mayor, the board is receptive. I need some ideas about what you want to try to do with it. I have not gotten that information back. So today, I can't really say 100,000, 500,000, whatever that number may be to help do, reconstruct, or whatever ultimately the city wants to do on North Street.
well, that's why what you're talking about, the additional.
So,
might be
I just,
additional.
the 18, I say we move on, and on Monday, if everybody's in agreement, move on. And I get what Daniel's saying too, he's got a good point. Here's an opportunity for us to use a civil link report, and try to get all above the learning curve, because if we can't get above the curve, we'll never, we're already behind the 8 ball and throughout the whole county, so I don't know. I mean,
I want to point out the obvious that the theoretical solution to the budget issues by using some of the bond proceeds to help offset or serve as an adjunct to Mike's budget. All of that was based on us knowing what projects we were going to use the bond proceeds for, so that we could then have some idea of knowing, well, what are we going to have left over?
Which is why, which is my point on identifying the projects so we see how much we're cut. I do not want to cut the road budget without finding a plan to refund it in some word. And for the same point, I don't even have any cities in my district, but I don't want to cut monies out of these
Wait a
daggone
second,
cities.
you always playing Flowwood.
Well, it's a strip. It's right up 25.
Yeah,
But my point is, every bit of city road I have, state aid roads. I don't have any type of county roads in the city that are flowing through.
Why do you even come to these meetings?
That's a dang good question. But my thing is, I do not want to take money from the cities
I
that
get
we give
that.
them on the
I
road.
get it.
Period.
I get it.
Y'all
I'm
may
all
want to,
about that.
but I do not. So I want that crystal clear in everybody's mind.
Well,
in the
it-
same way, I do not want to deplete our underfunded road budget. So
well,
Okay, so let me stick my neck out. Your road budget is underfunded
I know it.
and has been for a long time. And so you are dealing with the reality that there's I don't know what to call it, I guess an expectation that your road department will meet certain activities throughout the year and meet them at a significant level that is in the neighborhood of $12 million. Annually?
I'm not necessarily agreeing that our road is
Well, let me ask you this:
underfunded.
how long do you think our road budget has been established at $10-12 million?
Well,
When's the
for
last time
years
we
and years,
increased?
though, Daniel, there's a reason why there's a surplus,
Right.
so
Or
several
because-
years
I'm with
there was
or because
money
of-
left over.
But my point is, how
But
much?
if you look though, and I can just tell you, whenever we was raising taxes, there was plenty of, comparisons done.
Yeah.
And Madison County, our road funds probably double theirs, even though we have more road miles. But if you break down per mile what the state of Mississippi spends, we spend as much per mile as they do on per mile of maintenance on theirs.
And we have better
For the whole
roads than the
state.
state does.
We do have better roads
So,
in
I
our
agree.
county.
I agree.
So,
We're better.
yeah.
I agree with you on that. We're better.
So I'm just, we just gotta be careful saying that we're.
So when I say things like it's underfunded, it's put that on me.
No, put it
When
on
I
me
s-
because and my point on that coming back is I can't catch up with what I got to do because I got so many new developments coming on board.
If
I
we
can't
have,
catch up.
if
To
we
meet
have
the-
gravel roads that have developments that's building $500,000 houses, we're underfunded.
To meet
we
the
can't-
expectation that our constituency has grown accustomed to, you have to pay attention to the fact that to get there, we've had to use the surplus that Jay's talking about. We've had to use money that's not tied to the road department. We've had to use it to get where we want to be on our road maintenance. That's my point. So when I say things like underfunded, that sounds like you guys are intentionally shortchanging. That's not what I'm saying.
We're just trying to
There's an
do more.
expectation level that's there, and the activity that's
By
being
the-
asked is
by the
more
taxpayers.
than the
That's
millage
right.
that's assigned to that task.
That's right.
Yeah.
The taxpayers want more than what they're paying for. I agree
Okay,
with you.
so we're trying to address some of that by setting up a plan with this bond that allows us to take at least some portion of the bond proceeds and move those back over to Mike's budget for the purpose of allowing him to do. And I'm trying to point out to you guys that there will be an interplay here between what you're doing with the bond proceeds, because a lot of that, if not most of that, is going to be road related.
Okay, well, Craig, from what I see here, we're not gonna have funds left over to do that.
I tend to agree with you, because the more y'all talk about it, the more projects I hear about.
Nothing to 18 curious.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can go throw an extra few million in there, but I really don't go throw an extra few million if we can't simply identify
I
what
agree with
we're
you.
gonna spend our money on.
And I think that's kind of the
Well,
point of the
out of
list.
18, two
Let's
of
at
us
least
gotta
go
go
through
back.
the. Do what?
Out of 18, 2 of us gotta go back, am I right? If
Well,
you do
hell no.
18 million, 2 of it automatically A million goes back this year and a million goes back next year, all right?
No, they
Well-
talking about the bonds, Mike. They
No.
talking about-
Yeah,
It's
this is a, yeah, so
I might be
the,
confused on what I'm
in
talking
2 years, the mill will go back to Road and Bridge. It'll come out of debt service and go back to Road and Bridge in 2 years. That's, so that millage will go right back into the road department. It will not be debt service because the debt service will be accommodated without having to have the mill out of the road and bridge.
I think
So
it's
that carve-out will
extremely,
go
I
back.
think it's extremely important that we don't kick it down the road. You know, we've been
Yeah.
kicking it for a while,
Right.
and identify the projects that need to be done, whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
however the board wants to vote to identify them or pick them if we got to go one by
If
one
it's
or
gonna
whatever.
be-
I don't care, but
I'm not saying I'm against 18, but I want to know where it's going.
me too,
You know?
100%.
I mean, that's,
I don't want
All
any
right.
more.
So if y'all can help
Wait.
us, what you've got on your agenda for May 6th is an agenda item that says that you're intending to issue 16 and a half, okay? If that's gonna change, we've got to have a resolution ready for y'all. My preference is that it's ready before you pass it. Y'all need to let us know. Are we going 16 and a half or are we doing something different?
Well, I guess what makes it hard for me to pick that number is I want to know what the projects are to get to that 16 or 18 million. I mean, if we're going to 18 million, I know we got to have cushion. I agree with you on expenditures. But I want to know how I get to 16 to start with. I don't want it just to be, oh, we're going to take an $18 million bond and nobody can identify what we're going to spend it on. I mean, that's my only niche. I want to know what they go to. I don't think
Well,
that's
I
really
think-
asking a lot.
I think we're either in agreement we're going to do some of these roads that's on that sheet Jay's got, or you're gonna may convince 2 other people to do this civil link thing and use money for that. So I think we're gonna do something, you know. Question is what?
And you
I
do
get
not-
that. I get the idea of delineating out what we spend. We gotta do it eventually, gotta do it at some point. Yeah, absolutely. But for what we're trying to do, our housekeeping today is that, okay, 16 and a half or 18, you know?
But don't you think that affects what Mike spends the rest of the summer?
You know, Mike's got his own deal. Let Mike figure it out. That's what
He
gets paid
can't
the big
figure it
bucks
out.
for.
He's
you
got to
know?
have board direction.
He
He
can.
can't
He
figure it
really
out.
I mean,
can.
we'll
He's got
figure. I
his
mean,
budget.
it will get figured out in some form or fashion, or the services get cut,
Right.
and you'll take the blunt for
so
it.
Bob, why do you want to keep pushing it off? Why don't we just
Well,
do it?
because I'm not prepared to have that discussion today, and I'm not going to have it on Monday either. Because I'd like to get out of here. at a
Let's
decent
take it
hour.
off our agenda to vote for it then. I'm not voting for $18 million unless I know where it's going.
All right, then move it to 15th.
Okay.
Okay, and you guys do not have to have projects identified to pass
I
an
understand,
intent
but I'm
resolution.
not
I want to
gonna-
make that
I'll
clear.
go with 16, but I'm not raising it unless I know where the money's going.
Do you know where the 16's go?
I know that there's
Maybe
projects.
10, 8 to 10.
I know I'm getting $1 million out of it.
Where?
Where,
It's not on the list. I'm
Yes,
trying to tell you,
yes,
it's
it
not on the
is.
list.
Holly Bush,
Where?
Holly
It's on the
Bush,
list.
right there. Holly Bush, that's my number right there. We go ahead and name
I'm just
that
sitting here
District
telling you.
five.
If you just listen.
Steve, I think he
Tell.
wants to redistrict. Let you let him have Holly Bush.
I'll share it with you.
You need
Then you're gonna road
Draw it
extension
out.
with Or Park Parkway.
All right, do we have an
I
executive
got it.
session?
I got it.
$1.5
I
on
got
bond. I
it.
saw
I got
it.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
I got
You
it.
giving
So
that?
so it's out. So that's his meeting.
What's next, Mr. President?
All right,
What do we decide?
So really that.
we were not gonna vote.
We're gonna move this to the
15th, and hopefully between now and then, we
Before
can,
before we vote on it, we're gonna all sit down and come up with what projects we gonna spend on it. Or we gonna keep pushing it down the road?
All right, so that it's clear, we're taking items,
This, I just want to
know
say
that
it.
The
This-
more
And
money
I-
we constantly spend on these other 2 projects, that's, we
This-
ain't got but 6 months, we can go back.
I'm telling
and
you,
recapture.
this is affecting what we're going to do this summer in the prime time asphalt paving
How is
company
it
time.
affecting it?
I'm just
You got
telling
money in
you.
your budget, don't you,
It's
Mike?
not, Daniel.
You got money in your
He's already
budget.
got his budget set.
He's already got his budget set.
You already
man.
got your budget for this year, right?
Yeah, somebody
And how's it affecting
educated,
it?
would you?
How's it
Somebody
affecting
educate me. Somebody
Yeah.
needs to educate
If you
me.
got your money in your budget, how's it affecting it?
What, you think
Now.
if we do the bond, we go and throw extra in there this year?
No, but I'm
No,
not.
what I'm
you guys-
saying, he's got money in his budget now, so why is it slowing him down at all?
No, I was asking Daniel how you
Oh.
think it's gonna impact more if we do the
Just,
bond.
just remember me saying it. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
I would I would like
It's
for us
effective.
to maybe have two at a time that meet with,
Can't do that, I don't think.
we can't two at a time?
No, sir. We will come up with a workable way to have that discussion. My thought right now is that you guys wait until the 6th,
Uh-huh.
and let's put a discussion item and let y'all recess out of your 6th
Well, Bob's
to a
leaving.
date certain.
Gonna be.
What, I understand that.
Yeah.
You just recess
I'll
to
stay
a
as long as
date.
I need to, think I need to
Oh,
stay.
so
But
we'll
if we're just gonna
recess
beat
the
the damn
6th
horse,
to another
I'll
day.
leave.
All right.
Recess the 6th to whatever
How long you
day
be out
that
there,
everybody
Bob?
can get back to
I'm out of
before
town
the
next week.
15th.
That week? All right.
That's back to the 15th.
So assuming something doesn't happen between now and then with Sue.
Right,
Well,
I'm out of town.
right.
I would say maybe recess out of the 6th until
That
the
Monday's
12th,
fine,
the 12th or
13th,
whatever that Monday is.
13th.
Okay?
All right.
You can make that decision on the 6th as to
Yep.
the specific date and time you're going
12th
to
is
recess.
Sunday, so
13th.
I'm sorry.
13th, yeah.
The 13th then.
Yeah.
13th. All right.
All right, is there any other additional business to be discussed?
Items H and I are coming off, and we'll move them to the 15th.
And please apologize to everybody involved.
That's not going to be a problem.
And
No
it may
apologies
be-
needed.
And it may be that Lynn needs to be back at that 13th meeting.
Yeah, he was planning to be here Monday, so we'll get word to him.
All right. Do we have a need for executive session?
I don't know of one.
All right, I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Sir?
Nothing. I don't guess there was. I thought there was something that we need to discuss in the session, but I guess not. I don't remember. All right,
You'll think about it as soon as we adjourn.
Yep.
probably.
All right, we have a motion.
Monday's coming.
Hey,
Motion to
hey,
adjourn.
I do want to mention this.
Second.
The Rankin County Chamber is doing a golf event at noon, 1 o'clock today. For the, and also all the proceeds going to the sheriff's office back to Blue. If anybody to come out and have a cheeseburger or whatever it is, the lunch that's out
Yeah,
there.
I got that
Who you
invitation. I
playing?
got
No,
prayer.
I
I
gotta
got
work.
a National Day of Prayer deal to go into.
They
We're
gonna-
picking
I got
Jesus
baseball
over
today.
golf.
I can't.
Yeah.
Got what?
Picking Jesus over golf.
It's good playing.
I'm going, yeah, that's me.
I'm too
All right.
worked up. I can't.
We got a
Stuff happening.
motion by Bob,
I
second
wish.
by
Second.
Jay. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion
Hey, before you
passes.
leave, Renee,
Fish,
I want to talk to you and
fish
Craig.
don't leave.